Mallory, let's get into our weekly spotlight games.
Only 3 this week. Only 3 spotlight games this week. Starting off strong, too, with the Iron Skillet, TCU, playing at SMU this Saturday, September 21st at 4 p.m. You can watch it on the CW network. TCU coming in as 2-point favorites. Over-under is 58.5. And Craven, it's crazy to think that this time 2 years ago, we were at the Iron Skillet that was being played at SMU. It's crazy to think that it's been 2 years since that happened, but what are you looking for from both teams in this game?
Yeah, I was honestly surprised that the line is as close as it was. I thought TCU was going to be, a 4, 5, 6 point favorite even on the road. Their offense is really good. They can't run the football right now, but that passing game is going to score points. To me, this becomes about the SMU offense against the TCU defense. I think it's fair to assume the SMU passing game is going to take a step back with Kevin Jennings in there. It's not going to be as explosive as it could be with Preston Stone. Not that the offensive line can block it up well enough to get explosive in the pass game. So this comes down to the front seven of TCU against the run game of SMU. Jalen Knighton's not healthy for the Mustangs. He won't be in there. So the Ponies are going to have to win this game with Kevin Jennings' legs, with the running backs, make it a low-scoring game, make Josh Hoover uncomfortable. I'm not sure that they can do that. So early on in the week, I'm leaning towards TCU with about a 7 to 10 point win.
Ish, I got a question for you.
Okay, what's up?
For one of these teams, it's a must win. Mm-hmm. For the other one of these teams, it's a can't lose. Which is which?
I mean, it's a must win for SMU and it's a can't lose for TCU, right?
Ooh, I kind of think it's more of a can't lose for SMU. I think the vibes are really bad if they lose this game.
Craven shaking his head.
Yeah, I was about to say
Craven hop in.
I don't even know what this means. That's why I'm shaking my head.
I was about to say, that was one of Carter's Carterisms right there.
No, because if TCU loses this game, the vibes are not nearly as bad as SMU losing this game. But I think TCU, I think it's a very important game for both teams.
I don't disagree with that. I get what you mean now. I don't disagree with that, but I will say that I think the vibes can get bad if TCU loses this game.
That's very true.
Yeah, I think that yes, because of how the season's gone so far, SMU, if they get another game where they look outmatched again, especially offensively, even with the quarterback change, yeah, the vibes are going to hit a new low, for lack of a better way of putting that. TCU, I don't think that they're not in a panic mode yet, because I think what Craven mentioned, Hoover's looked really good. This offense has looked really good. The defense has looked like the marginal improvements that we've hoped to see under Andy Avalos. So, I think, yes, they will hate this loss. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not in that. I don't think it's near that panic mode.
I think it's time to put Josh Hoover in the good QB bucket, Ish.
Look, I mean,
you were dangling him before.
I was about to say, we can talk about how there's an empty spot there now.
Craven and I.
Craven wants to take his cake here.
Craven and I on Sunday recap pod already switched those two out.
Yeah, Josh Hoover in the good quarterback bucket. I do think that this is a bigger game for TCU than SMU, right? For SMU, you're in year one as a Power 4 program. You can look around the country and see what the G5 programs transitioning into the P4 have done. Houston was bad. Cincinnati was bad. Even UCF struggled. BYU, right? So while the Twitter noise will get loud, I don't think anybody behind the scenes was expecting SMU to be 9-3 and compete for an ACC championship, beat teams like TCU. If the Horned Frogs go into SMU and lose this football game after losing to UCF the way that they did, noise gets very loud in Fort Worth. This is year 3 for Sonny Dykes. In a Big 12 without Texas, without Oklahoma, the Horned Frogs have more money than all of these other schools. They have the resources. They have DFW. They should be in the Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State discussion, not the losing to SMU discussion, right, in year 1 of the transition. So I think that the TCU fan base is a lot harder on the Horned Frogs if they lose this game than the Mustangs will be if SMU loses this game.
Here's why I'm picking TCU to win this game.
Okay.
Because Sonny Dykes has won each of the last 4 Iron Skillets, 2 with SMU, 2 with TCU. He owns the Iron Skillet. Also, Josh Hoover, he leads the nation with 119 pass attempts without an interception and is completing 69% of his passes. Nice. Third in the FBS with 1,022 passing yards. And that SMU secondary has not been tested yet at all. First, Nevada's not a great passing team. Right. Houston Christian doesn't count. And BYU, Jake Retzlaff was not completing downfield passes when they were there.
This will be... Yes, I agree with that. I think that TCU's offense is by far the best that SMU will see. But also, think you maybe can reverse that and say SMU's defense might be the best TCU's seen so far.
Now, one thing about that is Bud Clark, the safety, is out for the first half, TCU, because of a targeting call, which we all hate, right? We all, on record, we hate the targeting call.
Yeah.
So that's BS.
What's next, Mallory?
I think if it...
Oh, Craven, did you have something to say?
I was just going to say at the end here, I think if the over hits, TCU wins this one comfortably. The only way SMU wins is if this is like a close defensive battle, which is a hilarious thing to say about SMU football.
Yeah, SMU's defensive line could eat up this TCU offensive line.
Well, Craven mentioned about their lack of a run game. TCU can't like they're what's
they're 115th in the nation in rushing offense right now.
Well, I was about to say
TCU
they're
is.
averaging 4 yards, if that, a carry.
Maybe that's
bad.
generous.
It's bad.
All right. Let's head into our second spotlight game of the week. Texas Tech hosting Arizona State this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on FS1. Texas Tech coming in as 3-point favorites. The over-under 60.5. Of course, Arizona State coming off a close win against Texas State, and then Texas Tech absolutely whomping my alma mater. So, Craven, thoughts on this game? I'll switch it to you.
If Baron Morton is the guy that Texas Tech has thought he is, and he's a star quarterback that's going to lead them to Big 12 championships one day and all that kind of stuff, go prove it against Arizona State. We saw last week against the Texas State team, Arizona State's improved, but they're not going to go put a 50 spot on you. Like they're going to kind of ground it out. They're a running football team. They're not explosive on the outside. It doesn't feel like this team, even against the Texas Tech defense, that's going to score 30 or 40 points. But Tech is an offense that can go score 30 or 40 points with a run game, with some explosive wide receivers on the outside. Baron Morton needs to be the North Texas quarterback more than the Washington State quarterback. He was bad against the Cougars, great against the Mean Green. Let's see him go do it against a Big 12 defense and kind of put the quarterback noise to bed. If he does that, I think the Red Raiders win this one pretty comfortably.
Yeah, if you are heading to this game, be sure to check out with our friends at Visit Lubbock. The Gambling Gauchos, who are on the ROF network, will be doing a written preview for this game later this week. Please go to TexasFootball.com, check that out with our friends. Thanks to our friends at Lubbock Sports and Visit Lubbock, because if you are like the Mean Green at halftime of last week's game, you're going to want to find something to do that's nothing. So, you're going to look around town and see what's
That was unnecessary.
Was that unnecessary? Anyway,
Yes.
Again, thank you to our friends at Visit Lubbock and Lubbock Sports for helping promote the game around that area, because there are some really cool things going on in sports and just in living-wise around that whole South Plains area. All right, so let's look at more about this game. Yeah, Arizona State, Craven, you mentioned it. They're a physical team, which is something that I didn't expect, I guess, going from like the Dennis Erickson teams to the Herman, Herman, oh my God, could not remember his name. Teams that they always were kind of spread and kind of up-tempo. I don't know if that's just my association with the Pac-12 as well. But when Texas State played this team, and then I got a first-hand look at Cam Scatterbo.
Ooh,
and
this terrifying man.
Don't get me wrong. He did not play his best game against Texas State. Against Mississippi State, he torched them.
Just out there with no neck.
But it didn't matter. He was scary. He looked like a 90s fullback. Craven, you probably remember, the Mike Allstott vibe of that he was giving off there. But that's going to be an interesting foil for this Texas Tech defense that's been getting torched through the air. Is like, okay, well, what happens if they face a team that just wants to play within the hash marks? I'm very fascinated by this because I do think Arizona State is just a sneaky, really good team this year.
It's the Cam Scatterbo versus Taj Brooks game, two opposing running backs who have very similar styles. The problem is, let me check my notes, Arizona State is 11th in the nation in rushing defense, and Texas Tech is 108th. So one has a favorable matchup, the other not so much. I'm also looking at quarterback Sam Leavitt. He gashed Texas State on a 40-yard touchdown run, I believe.
Yeah, I was definitely hyping Schmale up before the Texas State game, saying, "Oh, Sam Leavitt's not that good. Sam Leavitt's not that good."
He looked like he figured it out.
He looked great.
For a guy, again, he's a retro freshman.
He's young.
He's a guy who figured it out as the game went along, as the game was coming to him early on in that first half. It was like, okay, he can't handle the blitz, he can't handle this. As the game went on, he just got better, and I think that's terrifying if you're Texas Tech looking at that second half, because you're like, okay, this is a team that loves to control the ball, but when they need to throw like they did against Texas State, Sam Leavitt had the confidence to make those throws over the middle that we saw Texas Tech give up, before a week ago.
And forget the secondary. What really concerns me with Texas Tech's defense is the quarterback run game ability, because John Mateer, Little Elm, shout out, rushed for 197 yards on the Red Raiders in week 2. They struggled with it last year, too, against Wyoming and Oregon with Bo Nix's game. Like, he killed them on the quarterback scrambles. So I could see Sam Leavitt doing damage there.
Yeah,
Craven, I don't know if you
I'm more concerned.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm more concerned with the QB run game, as Carter mentioned, than just straight power. I do think for Arizona State, this is the first time they're going to play a real P4 offensive and defensive line. Like Wyoming, not very good this year. Texas State is good against along the trenches, but obviously a G5 team. And Mississippi State stinks, guys. Like that's not an SEC program right now. They got blown out by Toledo. Like they're not very good. Yeah. I do think Tech is going to be okay in the trenches. To me, it's just about if Baron Morton makes mistakes. If he plays a clean football game, Tech's the better football team. This was a 7 to 10 point spread in the summer. If he turns the football over, Arizona State is the type of team that will take advantage of that and beat you in a close game. Ask Texas State. That's why the Bobcats lost on Thursday.
Yeah. I think that this game for me could potentially throw a wrench in the Big 12, because if Arizona State wins this game, they don't play another Texas. They don't play Baylor. They don't play TCU, right? And so I feel like this is going to be a team that if they win this game, we're going to have to pay loose attention to, because we're not going to have a chance to really scout them or see them that much outside of, the game against Utah or Kansas or something. And they could be, again, I don't think they will, but I think this is a team that's going bowling. And if you're 7 hovering 8 wins ish in October, November, okay, now it's okay, that's starting to get to by obligation, you got to consider them like a top half, contender in the Big 12. So I don't know. That's why it's interesting to me, is because I think Tech can still firmly be on schedule after a vibe scare if they come out and win this game in impressive fashion. But if they lose this game, obviously things continue to look south after a good week last week, and then also maybe this emerging contender in Arizona State that's ahead of schedule.
I like what Craven's setting the stakes for, a Baron Morton legacy game. If he balls out, do we put him in the good QB bucket?
Look, if he does,
like Josh Huber?
If he balls out, I'm okay with having last week.
Because who is it right now? It's Quinn Ewers, Jordan McLeod, Arch Manning.
Are we doing this again?
No, I'm just kidding. No.
Look.
Craven's just sitting here in pain.
I'm gonna hold off on labels. I'm gonna say that last week was the promising week that we needed to see from Baron Morton. That's what I will say.
Okay.
So that's all. I'm gonna avoid the bucket, because last time I said somebody was good, he gave up. He basically couldn't keep pace for an entire half with anything. Anyway, Craven, anything else on this game?
No, I'm gonna avoid getting drawn into this bucket conversation.
Next week we're going to be talking about Preston Stone. So he came in against TCU.
Best quarterback in the state.
40 yards. See, a good bucket again.
Yeah, we have goldfish memory.
Mallory, what's next?
That's literally it. All right, to round out our top games of the week, Baylor playing at Colorado this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Fox. Colorado 2-point favorites, the over-under 53.5. We know Daquan Finn is still questionable for this game, but hey, Sawyer Robertson looked pretty good against Air Force. Granted, it was Air Force, but Craven, what are your thoughts on correct? Craven, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, they only scored 6 points in the first half there, but a lot of that's turnovers, bad red zone execution. For me, this is just like a, hey, Baylor, do I need to pay attention closely to you for the rest of 2024 type of deal? Because if you can beat Colorado, then sure, you may be a bowl team. May win 6, 7, 8 games, sneak into a bowl game, do all that kind of stuff. If you lose to Colorado, I don't know, I'll probably just start making hot seat power rankings behind the scenes, right? It just feels like Colorado's Ish is a wrestling fan. What do you call that? A gatekeeper, right? Colorado feels like the line of demarcation, right? If you beat Colorado, you're a team that we should pay attention to. If you lose to Colorado, we can probably close the book on it.
Yeah, I think that's for our wrestling fans out there. Colorado's like the Miz. Right? It's like the Miz, they're very flashy, right? And it's you got to pay attention to him. And if somebody feuds with the Miz and gets over, it's that guy, he's going to be a future
star. He wears an Apple Watch in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you lose to the Miz, you're you're probably going to be on the bottom of the card. I agree. That's actually a great way to put it, because, yes, Colorado, as we saw last week when they played, 2 weeks ago when they played a team with a pulse, they got blown out. Not just blown out, they just got embarrassed in a way that I don't think they were ready for, because supposedly fixed offensive line, supposedly fixed running game that they just don't use, which is fixed in their eyes, and then a defense that's still not very good. Okay, cool. You beat Colorado State. Nice.
Colorado State stinks.
They're also not very good. Shout out Norvell with the biggest scam of the century, saying that Braden Fowler Nicolosi was getting like 600K. Or
that's
whatever.
aged like milk.
But yes, if you're Baylor, you have to see that team that went against Nebraska and be like, we cannot lose to these guys, because the narratives get bad.
This is where we find out how improved the Dave Aranda defense is.
Sure.
Because right now they're first in the Big 12 with allowing 9.7 points per game and first in total defense with 230.3 yards per game allowed. But that's against Air Force, who I don't even know if they have a pulse right now.
No,
and a Cam Rising-less Utah.
I was about to say that he was not healthy for that.
And a Tarleton State team. So this is where it's like, put all your chips in the middle on Dave Aranda's defense. What is it going to look like? Also, Colorado, I know Shedeur Sanders beefed with Braden Fowler Nicolosi at the handshake line, wouldn't shake his hand.
No Texas solidarity here.
Good luck trying to get bulletin board material from Dave Aranda's cold, soft hands. It's like expert mode trying to get some bulletin board material.
Look, I'll say this. The blueprint is there for Colorado. They can't block. They're not going to run. And so if you just get to Shedeur Sanders and make him throw, which, again, he's somebody who holds on to the ball too long, like, the blueprint is there. But the problem is, okay, conceptually, yes, Dave Aranda can scheme it up. Can Baylor execute that? Where
I'm really looking for the second-level blitzes from Dave Aranda to really confuse that offensive line and get Shedeur out of a rhythm. Because when he does get the ball off, he's maybe the best quarterback in college football.
He has
throws
great arm talent.
ropes.
Great arm talent. But the problem is everything else. So, yeah, Craven, is that how you see? Is it like, again, I don't want to sound too simplistic to be like, everybody knows the way to beat Colorado. But, like, from our dumb perspective, it feels like Colorado's lost the same way every single time.
Yeah, I think if you're Baylor, you try to replicate the Nebraska deal as much as you can. You just bloody them in their mouth, right? Like that. Like, Colorado's one of the best 7-7 teams in football. But they struggle defensive line, offensive line, like, give Richard Reese the ball. Give Pendergrass the ball. Let the run game get going offensively. Let your offensive line lean on some folks. And then defensively, just get after them. Like, just number the offensive line, get the blitzes going, use the creepers that Dave Aranda is known for. They have a big defensive line. I think that's the matchup to watch here is Colorado's offensive line versus Baylor's front seven.
And hopefully, like I said, it was against Air Force, but Sawyer Robertson,
Got the game ball.
Not bad. So compared to last year especially, not bad. So we'll see if that's good enough. I think that should be good enough to get something done if they can keep that offense and Shedeur and Travis Hunter in check. All right, Mallory, it's lightning round time.
Lightning round time. Love it. We need like a little intro for that. All right, starting off the lightning round. Huh?
It's just Carter doing ASMR.
It's me doing zap.
Jeez.
That's not ASMR.
That's not that. Yeah, ASMR is supposed to be a pleasant sound. That's not a pleasant sound. All right, starting off with Houston playing at Cincinnati this Saturday at 11 a.m. You can watch it on FS1. Cincinnati coming in as 3.5-point favorites, over under 47.5. Craven, I'm going to hand this one off to you. Neither team has beaten a Power 4 team this season. Houston, I thought, looked pretty impressive against Rice last week. What is your takeaway from? What is going to be your takeaway from Houston in this game?
Yeah, that UNLV loss doesn't look so bad anymore. The Rebels look like they're pretty good. They play OU well. This Cincinnati game, though, feels like the most winnable Big 12 game until November 16th against Baylor. I mean, after that, they got Iowa State, TCU, Kansas, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona. So if the Cougars want to take a Big 12 game, this one feels like the one to try to get.
Rice playing at Army this Saturday at 11 a.m. You can watch it on CBS SN. Army coming in as 5-point favorites. The over-under 42.5-ish. I'm punting this one over to you. Army's defense looks pretty good. 26th in the nation in total defense, only allowing 14 points this season. Are they going to give our boy E.J. Warner a tough time this weekend?
Yeah, Rice's offense might be cooked. And Army might be pretty good. They controlled the ball for almost 40 minutes against FAU in a pretty dominant 24-7 win. So, Rice, prove to me that your offense isn't cooked, because right now it looks pretty cooked.
Yeah. UTSA hosting Houston Christian this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. Carter, handing this one off to you. Is it a UTSA get-right game after last week?
If this game is still a game in the third quarter, I am smashing the panic button on UTSA. So put this one away early, Roadrunners.
UTEP playing at Colorado State this Saturday at 4 p.m. You can watch it on True TV. Colorado State coming in as 9.5-point favorites, over under 50.5. Craven, it kind of feels like this is a game that both teams need to absolutely desperately win.
Yeah, the only thing I know that plays on True TV are crime shows and the March Madness. Maybe this is fitting that it's on that channel. Two of the worst teams in college football. Somebody got to win this one. If you're the Miners, you hope it's you.
All right, New Mexico State playing at Sam Houston this Saturday at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. Sam Houston coming in as 16.5-point favorites, over under 44.5. This is Sam Houston's first conference game of the year. They look really, really good coming off that Hawaii win. What do you want to see, Ish?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought this was a pretty good effort on both sides of the ball with the offense and the defense. Offense finding its identity with Hunter Watson now. New Mexico State's not the team they were a year ago. A lot of those guys are gone. They got blown out 42-0 by Fresno State. This is a game that's there for the taking in a Conference USA that's kind of top-heavy, but still looking for those next tier teams. So give me Sam Houston at this one.
North Texas hosting Wyoming this Saturday at 6 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. North Texas, 9.5-point favorites, over under 56.5. Carter, handing this one off to you. Wyoming isn't very good. North Texas should be good on this one.
This is not your big brother's Wyoming team. Craig Bull has retired, and they are struggling without him. Eric Morris, after the Texas Tech game, just said overall, no bueno. Looking for a get-right game from the Mean Green.
Texas A&M, number 25 Texas A&M, hosting Bowling Green this Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus. Texas A&M coming in as 23-point favorites, over under 52.5. Craven, who are we going to see at quarterback?
I think you're going to see Marcel Reed. I think if he plays another stellar football game, this kind of becomes his job until proven otherwise. Bowling Green's a sneaky, solid team. Hung in there with Penn State. So if you're the Aggies, trying to play clean, trying to put this one to bed early, avoid an upset before you get into the SEC.
Carter, take us home. UNLM playing at number 1 Texas this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus as well. Texas coming in as 44.5-point favorites, over under 52.5. Now, this is a ULM team that is not as bad as they have been in the past. They've been really bad the past couple years. But this is still should be a very comfortable win for the Longhorns.
Yeah, the next 3 games for the Longhorns, ULM and then Mississippi State, who got blown out by Toledo, and then a bye week. If Quinn Ewers was ever going to pick a time to do a little bit of rehab work, this was the time. Look for Arch Manning to get some playing time. Look for Trey Owens to get some playing time. Look for the Longhorns to roll.
And then, of course, Texas State has a bye week this week. They will play Sam Houston next Saturday. And then for all of you viewers, here is the final slate for week 4 of the college football season. Definitely excited for the Iron Skillet the most. I love that game. I think it's such a fun rivalry, but really, really pumped for this week's slate.
Oh, yeah. Should be a good one. Of course, Texas State, the best kind of week is an off week. So we'll take that after an emotionally charged Thursday night game last week. Anyway, all right, that'll do it for us. Actually, quick little thing. Craven, you're going to the Iron Skillet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Carter, what are you going to have your eyes on?
I got my eyes on Baylor versus Colorado and then Texas Tech, Arizona State. Those are the games I'll be monitoring.
Okay. Mallory, you said the Iron Skillet is going to have your eyes?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I love that game.
Same going to be here. And then I'm also going to keep an eye on Sam and New Mexico State because that's teams that, a team that obviously was competing last year for a championship going against a team that could push its way into that discussion. So I have my eyes on that one.